Hello, everyone. I am Kevin P. Sullivan from Entertainment Weekly. Thank you so much for coming out tonight for the Mr. Robot Free Consideration event. I'm going to bring out the cast, and we're going to have a in-depth conversation about Season 2 and what's going on in Season 3. I'd like to welcome out Portia Doubleday. Christian Slater. Carly Chaikin. Rami Malek. And Grace Gummer.
Standing ovation.
So they just got a recap of Season 2, and there's a lot. And the show has always been kind of unique, I think, to say the least. But there's a huge difference between putting together the first season of a show that's different and a second season of a show that's different, but also, beloved and by a lot of fans and critics. What was different about going into this season, knowing the response to Season 1?
Well, what was different?
Is it easier going into a second season knowing that there's this base?
Well, let's see. Is it easier? I mean, to a certain degree, I suppose it's nice to have been a part of something that in the first season was appreciated and received well, and so that was very exciting. And then I think on the other hand, there's the other side of that coin where there's a little bit more, I think, probably anxiety and, how's this going to go? And but the difference in this particular situation, which was very nice, was the fact that Sam was there all the time. I mean, he was there 98% of the time in the first season, but second season, obviously, he directed all the episodes. And
2% is all the difference.
2% is all we needed. We just needed that just to get to 100. So I was grateful for that.
Now, for fans of the show and viewers, the show was still Mr. Robot, but there were some big changes. It did feel there was a pretty big shift between Season 1 and Season 2. From your guys' side, did it feel like a significant change from Season 1 to Season 2? I guess I could throw it to Rami.
I remember Sam saying to me in between seasons, and this is to piggyback on your first question, but what's special about him, besides things that we've said in the past, he's brilliant, he's a genius, he writes, directs, he executive produces, but he goes, all of this critical acclaim that we got and all of the love, and I'm going to take a chance here. And I said, what are you going to do? And he's like, I'm just going to open up the story so that, for the long run, we have so much more to go and so much, a distance to travel that where you get to experience so many different narratives. And that's what I think like a show like this that, flipped everything on its head right away, did the same thing in the second season. What you were expecting was not necessarily what you got, and opening it up to this vast array of stories and exceptional actors was something that I thought would only enhance that vision for the long haul, and I think that's what happened. Leads us really well into the third season.
All right, we're gonna have to circle back on that.
You got it.
I've got some questions, but no, opening up the story is something I do want to talk about because there are certain characters from Season 1, I think Darlene and Angela in particular, that really got to shine in Season 2. Now Portia, Angela has a huge change between the two seasons. Can you talk a little bit about what it was like getting back into the character after she has gone through such a big transformation?
Yeah. I mean, obviously after Prada's, my wardrobe was infinitely better, which I was so stoked about. No, I mean, when you have 30 days and 30 days from Season 1 to Season 2, a lot can happen with a person. And I think what was interesting is that the whole first season is just kind of this slow progression of who she is. There's a part of her innocence that is just slowly dissipating. And so, I mean, everything that she went through, especially that last a couple of episodes, watching someone commit suicide on live television and her dynamic with Price, and then being at Evil Corp working at the company that is responsible for killing your mother is a lot of pressure. But also a lot of pressure in another way of being a young woman that's trying to rise and in this environment that's predominantly dominated by men. And I think what was really interesting, and I talked to Sam about this a long time. He had different ideas about where she was going to go, and then he talked to me about positive affirmations. And I was like, oh no. Oh God, what does this mean? Like, what does that mean? Oh, she's just going to become this brainwashed crazy person. But it felt relevant for like our generation, but anyway, once I had that, I just realized that the complexities of needing that much control, like day to day, having to memorize those things, having to constantly say like, I am successful, and what does that mean to kind of brainwash yourself? The necessity for that is hiding some really deep, tortured struggle. And that was the hook for me for this season, is what that feels like to have in your stomach all the time. The necessity that at any point in time, you constantly have to correct yourself to feel better or to feel adequate or enough. And I think that all of these characters struggle with control, as we all do, in some form. And so I think that was just kind of her through line for that season. And it reflected in everything. Like, it reflected, the wardrobe was very sharp and stark and cold and dark. And so it was very interesting. It just gave me a layer to her that I thought was very necessary. And also provided, so again, what Rami was saying, there's just so much more now that I think she can do with that kind of complexity. I've been talking for like an hour.
It's fine. That does it for us tonight. No.
Thank you. Good night.
Standing ovation.
That is the entire second season.
Wow,
Thank you.
amazing.
Just watching back the recap, Carly, I'm struck by how much Darlene's doing and the journey she goes on. What is your reaction when you learn that arc? Was it a conversation with Sam? How did you first get a feel for where your character would be going this season?
Yeah, when I first started the show, all I had was one small scene for Darlene. And Sam, was like, a lot more is going to come. Just wait. And first season, we kind of had to keep me more under wraps for the big reveal. And, so after that, once people really knew who I was, it was very exciting for me.
What are you talking about?
Are you my brother? Spoiler.
Whoops.
So before season 2, he walked me through my story and was like, and then you kill someone. And, I was like, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean I kill someone? And he was like, no, but it's not like that. And I'm like, what do you, killing someone is killing someone. So, and he was like, and, he's like, and then you have this whole conversation about how you were like kidnapped when you were younger. And I was like, what? Are you talking about? What is going on? But of course, once you get the scripts, it's all so different than what you think. And that scene with Susan Jacobs was my favorite scene I've ever gotten to do, and just like one that I had so much fun with. And I was really excited about, killing people. I was really excited about everything that I got to do, and it was a really interesting, part to play and kind of juggle between of this like young girl who has literally like the world on her shoulders, bless you, and her brother is not there, and she's kind of all on her own and has to like pretty much destroyed everything and is so desperate to try and fix this or do something. And for me, that scene was really fun because it was her making the decision in the moment. I I had her come down knowing that that could be an option, and then gauging Susan's reaction to what she said. And I want, and she reacted with no empathy or compassion or remorse or anything, that I think that was when the decision was made. But it was just, it was fun to navigate all of these different things and to really play the shift from season 1 to season 2. And the biggest, thing that I learned too as an actor is like how much our voice, how much we can do with our voice. And, Sam.
Whispering.
No, but,
Isn't that what you said? No.
well, that was, with that scene, I was like, wouldn't it be so much more interesting to sit there and whisper this to her than it would be to yell at her? But Sam and I's always thing was, for me, like season 1 was very like, Elliot, what are you doing? And season 2 was more like, Elliot, what are you doing? And just like coming from those two places.
He calls it the Valley Girl thing, by the way.
Elliot.
I've heard him say it so many times in this season. At one point, he goes, "You're doing the Valley Girl thing," and I said, "What?" No, I've never heard it except this season. At one point.
To me?
No, to me.
Oh.
Yeah.
To me.
To me?
Am I rubbing off on you?
Now,
You weren't finished.
I'm done.
now, Grace, you don't have the privilege of working off a first season. What is the experience of coming into a show in the second season?
And not watching the first season.
Yeah, I hadn't seen. I've never seen the first season. Never seen the show. No.
What is it about? Robots?
Who are you?
No idea.
I had never seen the show. I had heard only great things about it. Rami was a friend before, so I knew that Rami was on this great show, and I remember hearing him on the radio in my car in LA and thinking, I gotta watch this show. And then I got an audition for it, and yeah, I think it also weirdly helped me because I didn't know the tone of it at all. I didn't know what it was about. I didn't know the world of it. So I didn't go in there with any, giving them what I thought that they wanted to see in terms of. But it was also a brand new character, so I really winged it. And there was also I tell this story all the time. You probably are really sick of it. But there was a girl in the audition room who was in the waiting room who I really admire as an actor, and I really look up to her, and I saw her and I just lost all of my confidence, and I was like, this is over. This is clearly hers, not mine. This is so her thing, and I think it just propelled me even further and lit a fire that I guess that worked. I don't know, but yeah, no, I was welcomed right away with open arms. I mean, I think that my character was necessary for the expansion and the furthering of the story and the narrative. So I was definitely nervous because I cared about it and I wanted to do a good job because I watched it after I got the audition. Finally. But yeah, it's been great. It's been just the greatest joy of my life so far.
Oh, and just listening to the intro where you're speaking to Alexa, I have to ask: do you own an Amazon Echo?
I do. So we got. I think we all got Amazon Echoes from USA as like a press gift.
What?
Yeah. You didn't get one?
Yes, you did.
No,
Yes, you did.
I got a car. Just kidding. Totally kidding. No, I don't. Did I get it?
You probably did.
Oh my God, we're losing it.
So I went home and I did my entire scene with Alexa with my Alexa.
What did she
wait,
respond?
Did it actually work?
It worked with most of the things. Wow. It was when I said, Alexa, when is the end of the world? Ooh. She said, well, in about 1,000 years' time, the Earth will collide with the sun and create a big explosion. I mean, it was exactly the same.
And I love your acting.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm a huge fan. But it was very creepy, and I turned it off, and I don't ever use it, and I don't trust it, so that's that.
So there was some mention of creator Sam Esmail. He just is he knows everything about the show off the top of his head. I mean, just throw this out to anyone who wants to answer. I mean, what is it like having that kind of resource on set all the time, as he was with season 2?
Necessary.
So helpful.
He's like the Alexa of Mr. Robot.
Yeah.
He's like, I call him like my Bible. He's like everything I need to know and more about me. I'm like, tell me anything about me.
Well, especially with, this second season and this season we were block shooting. And so I constantly would be like, what episode are we doing? What happened? And it's so hard, as an actor, of course, like I believe one of the most important things, is is your moment before and where you came from, because that dictates, everything in the present. And so block shooting can be so hard because a lot of the times we haven't filmed those scenes before. This is where you're about him, and it's on a scene and then go to shoot it, and Sam is like, no, this is, like blah blah blah, and just something that like we thought he just, he has such a better take and understanding, of course, of everything that's going on. It's really incredible.
He also sets the tone in a way that he's the least stressed out person on set. I mean, it's like he should be the most stressed out because he's literally doing everything. But he is so calm, and it really is
Until
pervasive.
he isn't.
Until he isn't.
Until he yells
Yeah.
at you.
He turns into his altar.
So he's got all this information. The story's coming from him. Where does he draw the line with what he informs you guys of? Like, there has to be a point where you don't know beyond a certain point, right?
Oh, I have no idea what's going to happen after the season. I
No,
think he really
yeah.
has us know what our characters know.
But there is this, there's a part of him that, in the same way that you saw him speak about Grace and say, she's informed this character as much as he has to a certain degree. I think he knows enough, but he's always willing to. He told me this early. He goes, "You're going to know this character better than I am at a certain point, and at some point you will take over." And I keep throwing that at him all the time. But we've all, because I think we just invested as much when we saw his investment, or we all came in there kind of wanting to do the best possible work we could. And when you see that, I think in his frame of mind, he kind of allows you to speak up and elevate yourself and have your own position on your character, and he wants to listen to it. Sometimes he doesn't, but there are other times when we can inform the trajectory of our character, and I think that's happened a lot for all of us. I mean, I think I can speak for all of us when we say we've come to him and said, I think this is a more interesting storyline, or we can dig deeper into this aspect of this character, and he's been, in the way that I don't know that many other directors and writers and executive producers would, been extremely collaborative when you have something as specific as his story is, and has as detailed and a vision that is finite and terminate in a certain way, to allow us to collaborate that we have. It's a testament to his talent.
But I know that there's also a lot of stuff that he won't tell us because he doesn't want to be tied down to that being what it is, which I also think is interesting.
Ooh, that's good.
But I also think knowing some of those things, at least for me, and this season, I could have never predicted never predicted what he was going to tell me was going to happen with Angela this season. And if I had known in a prior season, I think it might have changed my performance, even though I beg him for every detail because I really, really want to know. But I think that that's also part of it, is that, yeah, I don't think he's tied to it. And I also think it could alter, especially if your character is changing, with which I think all of our characters are constantly evolving throughout the seasons, which is really fun for all of us. But could I don't know, imply certain things for prior seasons. And I just want to say this because I have to, because of who he is. And me and Carly said this all first season. Sam is incredible and extremely humble. Weirdly, he shouldn't be this humble. But I've never worked with somebody that actually, I was scared to say certain things like, oh, I don't know. I mean, you always want to fight for your instincts because at the end of the day, you do play these characters. But he was surprised that we were apprehensive about asking. You know, like, why wouldn't I listen to you? You're the ones that are playing this. I don't know. You probably know more than I do. Yeah, this would fit. But no, this doesn't fit in the trajectory of these scenes. So I just wanted to say that because I do think it's rare. And I think that him doing that makes us all feel, I don't know, a responsibility of really wanting to make it as great as possible. And he doesn't only do that with us. It's everyone that we work with.
Yeah.
It feels that collaborative.
He does. He empowers everyone on set. Equally. Actors, every craftsman on the set. That's what gets us through this. These are dense scenes that we're doing and long hours that we're working, and there's a lot of there are questions sometimes of do we need this shot? Is this really pivotal? Is this scene pivotal? Do we need it to shoot it in this way? And we'll go all hours into the night sometimes to get something right, and it's because everyone wants to deliver, and you hear this phrase quite a bit, but it comes from the top down. And because he is so patient, and because he is so collaborative, I mean, the guy's getting married in between our third season.
He's in Africa right now, actually. And then
I wouldn't call it a hunt. No. He's getting married in between this third season, and that's how. I'm like, are you stressed about this at all? Being televised, by the way. And he wasn't the entire time. I mean, he wasn't stressed out at all. And that's that kind of calm under pressure that allows us to give, I think, as much as we can and feel comfortable to. But every craftsman on this gig is empowered by him.
He also values the he knows that we need a lot of time to prepare, and he really values that, and he understands it. And so he does this thing where he calls us all before the season starts, months before the season has started. And he gives us like an hour on the phone of everything that we're going to be doing. And it's, as an actor...
What?
It's so... it feels like such a privilege and a luxury to have that knowledge and time and voice to be able to, if we have anything to say, we can call him immediately and tell him. He's never going to just throw anything. I mean, he will throw things on you, but for the most part, he cares.
I think one of the reasons the show really got attention right away was the actual filmmaking of it. And Sam got a lot of credit for the look of the show, the music, and the cinematography. What is it like working on a show that is so stylized that so much of it is going to be you're going to understand after you've seen footage? What is that like?
It's weird sometimes.
It's cool. I mean, what's so great is you feel, like you really are making something great and beautiful and not just...
Making art.
Right, and not just part of some sort of, like, network television... I just lost the word I was gonna... Like, ingredient and just, like, part of just, like, the cog and doing the same kind of thing over and over. It feels, like, very refreshing even being there and just setting up the stuff that we do and discussing it the way that we do. and how nuanced everything is. And, you know, Todd, our DP, like all these, you know, and even with wardrobe, with set dressing, everything is so thought out and so specific and so, you know, like a choice that everybody's making, not just the actors. And it makes it really feel like when we're doing it, like we're creating something together and creating something that's special and that means something and that we're all passionate about. And I think, you know, part of getting the coolest thing about getting the response from the audience and stuff that we have is being so passionate about this project and investing so much and caring about it so much, than to have other people kind of, you know, emulate that same passion and love for it is, for me at least, like the reason that I love doing what I do, and makes it so much more enjoyable and impactful just having, you know, that like reciprocity with everything.
What? Yeah, to
Go for it.
piggyback on it. No, just it is like it is.
Follow reciprocity.
Thanks.
Go, man, go.
And the
Say a big word.
Yeah, that was really good.
I will say, I mean,
Whatever.
That was awesome.
Whatever.
That was such a good
I
word.
never went
like
to college.
That was amazing. I loved it.
the what do you call it? Everyone, we're up here, bro. On a photographing it, Mac Quayle composing it, and
Aaron Medic filming it.
yes, behind the camera. I mean, so many people put their heart and souls into this, and the work that we are talking about here, and the investment that we make, they're making the same investment, and so it's that place that you show up to every day where you know you're making something of a very high standard and quality, and I keep going back to this, but it is, you know, that confluence of craftsmanship and
Nice.
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 Come on, give it up to the guy. I mean, that's
and
nailed it.
but and the reciprocity.
No fuzz on that one.
That's it. I just had to get to a big word. No, but it is that
Good.
standing
Magnificent.
ovation. No, but it is that. No, I'm not, that. No,
You're never gonna get one.
I won't. But it is that. That's what I think. That's what makes this show as special as it is for us. Is we all walk in there, and it is that. It's the group effort. It's the group effort that makes it special.
Also, just watching at the recap, it's such a New York show, and I mean, a lot of shows shoot here.
Woo!
A lot of shows shoot here, but don't really use the city quite like Mr. Robot does. Especially, I mean, Chinatown. We're not too far from.
It smells like fish.
Yeah, lovingly so. But I mean, but I mean, what is the difference of a New York production? And I mean, how does that change what you guys are doing for your part?
Well, I think New York is its own character in the show, and I always say, you know, like most of us actually are from LA, and I miss being at home so much, but we could never do this show in LA. Like, it would just be weird. We'd be like on the 405 having like deep discussions instead of the subway.
In the car.
Yeah. But it really is its own character, and just like the vibe and you know, being here in the dirty streets, and you know.
People always ask, like, where do you shoot? What studio do you shoot in? And it's like, we have very little scenes in studios. We have a couple things in studios.
We go uptown every once in a while. No, it is. I mean, trying to replicate. I remember watching the pilot, and or not even. We were shooting outside Elliot's apartment, not too far from where we are now. But it was like a bike rack that had 120 bikes, and every bike was missing something. And I thought to myself, to do that on a stage or in any other city would probably cost us, something like $200,000. And we're gonna shoot that bike rack, right? And they're like, hell yeah, we're gonna shoot the fuck out of that bike rack.
So you you all are in the process of shooting season 3. Obviously everything, all the details are at lockdown. I would like to remind you, Sam isn't here, but what
I'll tell you everything.
Rami, what can you say about where things are headed? I know obviously things for Elliot were left quite precarious.
As usual, I guess. The first season was it was electric. You got a heavy plot, as I've heard you say, but you got introduced to all these characters in a way where you could follow it start to end. It was fast paced. It was exciting, and you still got to know a good deal about everybody and what the ambitions of everyone was. I think the second season, you get to delve deeper into everyone's ambition and learn a little bit more about them, so that in the third season we can really take advantage of that, the knowledge that we have, and really dive headfirst into everyone's motives. And it is charged and electric, and it really takes you from one person to the other with such stealth, and is it's relatable and understandable in a way that is I think very accessible. So we have that same kind of smart, elevated story, but in a way that is very palatable and has that same urgency that the first season had. So it's a combination of things, and I think we've elevated our game and grown a bit.
Now, Christian, the relationship between your character, Mr. Robot.
Stand
If anyone wants to stand, I think there.
Now would be the time.
No.
My brother.
Thank you.
One person. Two.
Now, Christian, the relationship between your character, Mr. Robot, and Elliot has changed drastically. I think that to put it lightly. What has excited you about heading into this third season, and where that relationship might go?
Yeah, no, the relationship definitely has changed and shifted in a lot of ways. The interesting journey of this for me, certainly doing the first season, after doing episode 9, I really didn't know if I was going to come back after that. We didn't have the benefit of what we have now of getting all of the episodes. So I thought, well, once we're at the graveyard, I guess I'm going to just say my swan song and that's it. Yeah. So I had no idea where Sam was going to take the character. I had no idea I was going to, be in Times Square and having that particular moment there, which was great and exciting just on every level in regards to, look, to shoot a scene in Times Square is truly, I think I had just seen Birdman, with Michael Keaton, and I remember just feeling so envious of him running around that block, and through Times Square, and then just to get that opportunity to do something there was, without a doubt, a phenomenal dream come true. So I was thrilled for that.
Speaking of New York.
Speaking of New York, yeah, of course. But then, with season 2, I didn't know where he was going to go in season 2. And quite honestly, and these guys have heard me say it before, season 2 was frustrating for Mr. Robot. You know, it was like, oh, come on, man. And Sam just said it there too. It's like, you know, I have a particular mission and goal and thing that I want to achieve, and I want to keep this train moving at a nice pace, and let's go. And you know, this guy is slowing everything down. You know, so and you know, imagining that he's living at home with his mother, I mean, that was really pissing me off. So you know, it was a season of frustration and anger and combativeness that you know, yes, exactly, led to a place where Elliot was in extraordinarily precarious position. And now season 3, I think, will you know, continue from that point. And you know, what can I say? More will be revealed. But in speaking with the writers, sorry, one thing, and this is just all Anna here. You know, well, Sam, I asked him, you know, what he felt about season 3, and he threw out that word disintegration. That's the situation between me and Elliot. That's the only word that he gave me to sort of hang on to there. Then I asked one of the other writers what they felt about season 3, and I liked it. I mean, I'm quoting. He just said it's like a swift kick right to the nuts, which I thought was good.
Who said that?
Well, Kyle.
Great.
It's a told Kyle thing to say.
Yeah, it's right up his alley.
Yeah. So obviously, you guys said that Sam doesn't tell you everything. So I imagine you guys are kind of talking and guessing where things might go. Who's got the best theories about where this is all going to end up?
Reddit has the best theories. It's definitely. Honestly, I have read them, and I have brought them to Sam. He laughs in my face, no offense to the Reddit people, but the fact that I'm bringing them up, asking him, the Reddit has the best theories. I say out of all of us, unless somebody wants to top a Reddit. Okay, go ahead, Carly.
I'm not going to tell everyone my theory, but I have a good one.
You do have a good one.
I do have a good one.
What?
Wouldn't you like to know? You know it.
No, that is not what's
In
happening.
the realm of
No.
possibility? No? You never know. I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard it, so I don't know.
I think everyone's just going to have to comb Reddit for Angela Fan 69 over there. Well, that's just the number you add to a username, right? Well, on that note, I would like to thank the cast of Mr. Robot for coming out tonight.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
We'll stand for you too. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
God spreading the news.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yes, it was awesome.